It is time once again for the weekly closes on our favorite Bitcoin miners. Now, I know there was also a monthly close this week, and we'll get a video about that later, talking about how that close went through for our favorite Bitcoin miners. But we're going to focus on the weekly this time, and boy, was it bad. You can probably tell my audio is different. I am traveling right now. I am on an iPad using a lav mic off of that. And so I'm going for what, 3 days, and the whole market falls apart. What is going on here? I'm just watching my account in free fall as I'm trying to have a good time on vacation here. That's super rude. Super rude, market. Quite rude of you. Wish you wouldn't do that when I was trying to have fun. Ruining that quite handily. Anyways, moving on to the CleanSpark here. So we see that they've had some really good news actually. So they've got one site, they're expected to add 2 exahash with 30 megawatts of power for their immersion cooled center here, which is going to represent 2 exahash. Then they also closed the deal for 75 megawatts in Wyoming. It's in the top right corner there. And that is going to represent about 3 exahash of power for them. So that'll be good. And that's all good news that just came out yesterday as it was falling like 10% each day. It's just so frustrating. Like, oh yeah, good news, who cares? Bitcoin didn't even fall that much. MicroStrategy, for having horrific earnings, fell half as much as the Bitcoin miners did in the last couple of days. So that's that's quite interesting. Also, they've got their split coming up real soon here, and I have been contemplating selling off some of my Bitcoin miners so I could play options on MicroStrategy, since I would now be able to afford it if I were to sell some of my Bitcoin miners. So that is on my mind right now a lot, especially as I watch them fall by comparison to MicroStrategy, and I think about how much money I could make weekly with MicroStrategy. If you haven't seen that video, go back and check out the MicroStrategy wheel options retire on MicroStrategy video I did last week. Anyways, I've been thinking about that. But first, let's get into CleanSpark. So we're going to look at CleanSpark. So the weekly close on CleanSpark was quite bad. It was really, really bad. So it was down for the week. It was down, let's see here. This is, yep, 1 week. It was down 21.26%. Now this close is particularly bad, okay? But I'm not super worried right now, and the reason for that is because some of this is a knee-jerk reaction to war news. As we are all probably aware, there is new conflict, well, the conflict is heating up in the Middle East right now. So that is getting things to be a little bit hotter in the market in terms of things being more volatile. We are seeing a lot of big swings up and down, mostly down the last couple of days on just about everything as this has been happening. Now, but even with that being the case, I am concerned about this close on CleanSpark. And the reason for that is that this low down here at 1348 where it closed, and it went even further down in the post so far by 2 cents, is lower than the previous lowest low of this whole bunching of price action here all the way back to the beginning of the year. And the previous lowest low on here was 1377, and we broke that. Now, once we came to the lowest low last time, we went immediately back up in the next week up to $21. I don't necessarily see that happening here right now. I am currently watching for CleanSpark, this pink line right here, which is at 1246. If we close beneath that and then open another candle beneath that, we're going to the bottom of this channel. We're just going to go to the bottom of this channel. It's going to happen, and that would be around 950. Now, that would put me in the red on my CleanSpark. I was up 70%. Right now, I'm up about 40%. We dropped down to 949. I am now in the red. So my thoughts here is if we get that closure and open beneath this pink line here at 1246, I am likely going to sell out of a significant position, a significant amount of my position of CleanSpark, and wait for it to bottom out, show me a bottom, and then get back into my position from there. That's what I am looking at right now, because this could be months of being stuck down in this price action, because Q3, honestly, the beginnings of Q3 all the way until like mid-October tend to be pretty bad for Bitcoin miners. It tends to be a pretty weak time of year. I am expecting to find some bottoms in the next 60 to 90 days. So that is why I would consider that in this situation. Now, normally I wouldn't. And long-term, my view is still very positive on CleanSpark, but my next 90-day view is not great. based on a lot of this price action. I do think we had our summer rally come through. We went, from our 13 bucks all the way up to 2064-ish, 2050-ish, whatever, on CleanSpark. That was the run. That was it. Unless we get a huge, and I mean huge, turnaround next week and get above and close above $18. If we do not do that in like 14 days, it is done. And we are waiting until minimum October before we see any good moves on CleanSpark. And that's just a reality here. We won't see it until, and the reason we'll see the big move, the nice move, coming later on in like October or so will be due to the late September Fed rate cuts, which will cause an initial surge in these smaller cap stocks like CleanSpark, before eventually, if it's they're cutting because of a recession, would cause a eventual destruction of their price action as well going forward from there. So anyways, I hate this close. I really hate this close on CleanSpark. I hate to say it, I hate to see it, but under 1246, I'm going to be seriously considering cutting my position on CleanSpark while it's still green and waiting until I see it start to base and curl back up again. All right, let's move on to Bit Digital. That one was down 12.87% yesterday. I don't think there was any real news going on with them. No, not really. Okay. Their weekly close. Okay, this is bad. This is bad again. Also very, very bad. We closed beneath $3. We went beneath $3. Remember when we were up here and I said on the daily it got beneath the yellow ATR and that it was going to come down to $3? Well, here we are. We came right down to $3, and in fact, we went a little bit below $3. And the reason I'm concerned about this is because if we look here, we closed beneath the yellow ATR. The yellow ATR is at 303. We closed at 298. In post, we went down to 297. You can see that on the MACD, it is starting to come down. The weekly RSI is now in bear territory. So Bit Digital is in trouble here. If it cannot get back above this yellow line at 303, and I mean Monday, like if it is not back up there by open on Monday morning, we are coming back down to support here around 250 to 240, probably 240. If that doesn't hold us, we're coming all the way back down to $2. So $2 is now on the table. We're probably going to hit 240 on Bit Digital. And again, same scenario here. My Bit Digital, I have my average cost is about 246. So I am now, if it opens beneath that yellow line, I'm going to cut a significant position of my Bit Digital shares and wait for it to base out down around 240. Now, if I'm wrong about that and it goes up, I'll miss out on that. But the reason I'm not upset about that is because guess what? MicroStrategy splits in a couple of days. MicroStrategy is down in my buy zone right now. There's always another opportunity, is what I'm trying to say. And of course, none of this is financial advice or a suggestion to buy, sell, or hold any asset whatsoever. This is just my thoughts about these charts that I'm seeing and the way to manage my portfolio for the maximum gain at this time. So I don't want to see these positions turn red on me. I see decent potential for them to do so under certain circumstances, and I would like to protect that capital. And I also see another opportunity that is likely to go up here, probably faster than some of these Bitcoin miners, to be honest, when things really start taking off. And I also can play options on them that are pretty decently liquid and are going to provide good premium, unlike with the Bitcoin miners. They generally don't give me that good a premium. Like, they're okay, but it's not great. All right, let's see. Going back, all right, Bitfarms. Bitfarms was down 11.38%. On the week, it was 18.96% down. We closed down under 230. We came down big. This ended up being a double top. That was rough. We closed way under the yellow ATR. Let me turn off my drawings a little bit here. Let's see here. Hide drawings. All right, I don't need to see those right now. We closed way under that. We went straight to support here on Bitfarms now. If I could, there we go. On Bitfarms, we went right to support. Now, we could go even further. Like, we could come all the way down to like 180 again pretty easily on Bitfarms here. This formation here is not good. We need to turn around and get above 251. Anywhere below that, and I mean, if Monday we're not seeing ourselves get up towards that 251 area, and if by midweek next week we are not solidly above $2.51, I'm going to be decently concerned about Bitfarms staying down here a little while. Now, the reason I'm not super scared about this, now I'm giving you a lot of doom and gloom, but chill out, calm down. The reason I'm not super scared about these and haven't sold, even though I totally could right now, because I mean aftermarket's still open, is because a good amount of this is war. Like it is threat of war. So that usually writes itself within a week or two. Usually within a week or two, that big red candle you see is undone unless the conflict gets worse. Now, if it gets worse, the prices are going to get worse. If it gets better or nothing happens, the prices will recover is basically how I am looking at that. So I am waiting. I'm not having a knee-jerk reaction. I'm not freaking out. I am just waiting. I'm mad, but I am waiting. And that's all I got to say about that right now. But yeah, with Bitfarms, I don't see us coming all the way down to this this bottom ATR at 116. That would be pretty insane. But I could see us going a little further into support, dragging it down to like 180, 190 area for Bitfarms. Let's take a look at Mara. Mara was only down 5.24%, so that's actually not so bad. Mara had really terrible earnings. Actually, they had horrific earnings on the first. It was like hundreds of percent miss on earnings per share. That was bad. MicroStrategy, same thing, hundreds of percent miss. It was bad. Riot, same thing, horrible results. But we knew that. We knew that Q2 was likely not going to be very good for the Bitcoin miners. That was that was expected. It really was expected. So I mean, the sell-off based off of it was kind of silly because we knew that was going to happen. We knew it wasn't going to be big. Anyways, Marathon for the week is down 20.31%. They came all the way down to $17. Now, $17. Now, this chart looks a lot like Bitfarms, whereas like it's at support right now, but it could dig a little bit deeper, find itself around 15 bucks or so for Marathon before starting to turn around again. That's totally possible. We are still within this formation here, this ascending channel here. We are still in that. So if it breaks that, yeah, we could find ourselves at like $11 or $12 on Mara. But honestly, for Mara, if I were to see it Mara at $11 or $12, I would be pretty excited. Actually, that really wouldn't upset me. I'd be looking at that as like, ooh, that's nice. Because I know how quickly it can go from $9 to $33. So that's pretty exciting. Now I know that it's not necessarily my favorite miner overall. I do prefer CleanSpark. I do like Bit Digital, but like the level of the swings that Mara does is pretty impressive, to be honest, when you catch it at those certain areas. And it looks like we are starting to move our way towards one of those areas where I'd be very excited to pick up a couple hundred shares or a couple of call options on this thing. And that's what I'm looking at there. And of course, again, not financial advice, not a suggestion to buy, sell, or hold any asset whatsoever. I am looking at this price to potentially dip a little bit further and then start to recover pretty quickly in the next week or two. That's what I'm expecting. If I don't see signs of that recovery, I am likely going to sell out of a good amount of my Bitcoin miners and start focusing on options for MicroStrategy for a little while. That's what my thoughts are right now. Okay, let's take a look at Riot. They were down 8% yesterday. Over the week, they were down 23.48%. I'm glad I'm not in any Riot anymore right now. I did let go of my Riot. I did let go of it red. I'll be honest there. I let go of it red. It was a few $100s down. I used that in order to that capital to start selling puts on Nvidia. I have made back all that money already. So I'm not too sad about it. But yeah, Riot is at the bottom of the range right now. As of today, Riot is at the bottom of its range. Any lower, and we're coming all the way down to this blue line down here. We're coming all the way down to $5 if Riot goes any further down. Okay, this is the bottom of the range. So it could rocket up from here, but if it does not turn around, it is coming to $5. And that is an unfortunate reality. And on the up end, like 16 bucks is like the highest we could potentially see. Things don't look good for Riot. Riot actually looks, the Riot chart is just, it's depressing. The Riot chart's been rough. It has not been kind to anybody, I don't think, except anybody selling, buying puts, I guess, for quite a while. Yeah, that's just brutal. Let's take a look at Iren. Iren is in my area now. Look at this. Okay, let me turn on some drawings. Let me turn my drawings back. Not that one. Turn on some drawings. There we go. Show them. All right. So, Iren, we're getting dangerously close to my buy zone. So we went through my first buy zone, and I bought 100, 150 shares here. I also sold a put there. I'll probably roll that put now that we're down here. $8 is coming. I think Iren very likely is going to hit $8 because right now we're kind of hitting like the next support. I guess there is support at 836 and it did almost touch that, so it could turn around here. I wouldn't be super surprised if it did, but like once you start getting underneath, like in post is down to 853. Once you start getting underneath like that 850 range. Like if it gets to like even like 846 or something, it starts to gravitate to that next, you know, round number, in which in this case is going to be $8. Like it's gravitating towards that. I think it hits 8, and then from there we see it do a big break through this and then just roam all the way up. I'm pretty excited about that. Actually, I do like Iren in this area right here. I am quite interested in Iren at this price right now. So I have been buying a few. I bought, yeah, I'm at I bought 100 at 9. I bought like another 50 at like 930 or so. I bought another, yeah, no, another 50. I sold a put around 960 for 10 for a 10, with enough premium to take my average cost down to about 9. I am thinking I probably could roll that a couple weeks further out and get it at 8 now. So that's interesting as well. I do like where Iren is. I mean, I hate this chart because like it's come down so much, but it's getting into my areas where I'm like, ooh, this is very interesting. Like what I was talking about with Mara, like if it fell a little bit more, I'd be pretty excited. Right now I'm annoyed, but like a little bit further down, I start getting pretty excited, much like with Iren. So this is actually, I'm pretty happy about this. It looks great. It's coming right down to my areas. Corz, what did Corz do? Corz finally broke out of that channel. Oof, it is not inside of this channel at all anymore. So I'm gonna go ahead and delete that. So we are solidly below the red line. 831 is the only area to catch us. If it goes beneath 831, we're coming all the way down to 691, probably to 611 to tap support back here from January in 2024. So Corz starting to work its way down. Now that does become undone if price does reverse and go back up to 1043 or higher. That would nullify the bearish movement, but it is looking like it wants to come down to those areas. Let's take a look at Wolf. Wolf hit my buy target. All right, so Wolf was down 16.97% last week. It went through my first buy zone here at 383, hit the yellow ATR at 371, went slightly beneath it and is falling further. So I do think that Wolf is very likely to come to my next target here at 317. I am looking for it to do that before making any kind of turnaround right now. So this is a pretty brutal one. But like I said, just like with Iren, this is a very interesting area. This is an area where I start to become interested. I don't think I'm going to add any Wolf to my position. I have enough Bitcoin miners right now, so I'm not looking to add, but this is very interesting where it's coming to. And this is an area where I personally would start going, ooh, this is very interesting. And if I had a bag or I had sold a bag up here, you know, around $5 or $6, when it came back down to like 317, I'd be very excited in that situation. Much like I will be with like, or I have been with Bit Digital, like I have been with Mara, like I have been with CleanSpark as I've rolled them around and, you know, swung them back and forth. All right. Hut suffered 10.79% down. They closed beneath the yellow ATR. That looks pretty brutal. Hut's coming down further. Hut is likely to come down to about 1080-ish, maybe down to 9, but 1080 for, I'm thinking for sure, unless we get a pretty solid turnaround on Monday or Tuesday. We could see the continuation of the sell-off for a few more days going into next week, unless like there's a really good positive catalyst that comes through. Otherwise, we're having a bad time for the week. This thing was down 18.26%, almost down 20% for all miners this week, which is just absolutely nuts and really, really sucks. It hurts to watch that happen. Hopefully, everyone managed their emotions on this one. Hopefully, we are seeing that things could where things could find a base and expecting them, or like where like that line in the sand is for us, where I'm saying, okay, well, I'm just going to cut it and I'm going to wait for it to come down a little further and see where it bases out from here, and hopefully it doesn't just turn around and rocket up on me afterwards. That happens sometimes. Can't do anything about it. Anyways, with that said, please like, comment, subscribe, share this video. Check out the Trade Cave store, link in the description as well as the channel bio, and have a profitable day.